Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully everybody's doing well. This video is going to be unlike my usual video of show and tell, kind of what I picked up, my hauls, and unboxing, that kind of stuff. This one's going to be more in line to help people that love their comic books like myself, maybe to help prevent a disaster from happening in case something happens to that collection. Okay, so if you want to know how to protect your precious comic books, come on back after the short video intro. See you soon. Okay, we're back. Comic Sniper here once again. Thank you very much for joining me, along with my trusty sidekick, my lovable flying Iron Man Mark III. And together we are, this time around, we are gonna go over how to protect your investment, okay, your comic book investment, more than anything else. That could go along too with your collectibles. So however, whatever you have in your collection that's valuable to you, okay? So a lot of times, I've heard from other people, and as well, like, it hasn't happened to me, knock on wood, right, that I have never had my comic book collection stolen, burglarized, ruined in fire, or ruined in flooding, that kind of things. But that has happened to people in the past, and unfortunately, if you don't take the right precaution ahead of time, you could very well be on the losing end of things when it comes to having to deal with the insurance company with that. Okay, so this video is kind of to go over a few things on what what you could do to minimize having to give up a lot of what you put into it, and hopefully it won't happen to begin with, but if in case something does happen, you are at least you've minimized the damage, and you can hopefully get back most of your collection by doing so. Okay, so first off, I just want to say, it can happen to anybody. If you're like me, you're a comic book collector. You collect books either on and off for the past several decades. Like myself, I've done it when I was a kid. Kind of sold off my collection and came back. I was able to do that, but at the same time, being younger, you don't really think about what would happen in case something, let's say your place gets burglarized, or there's a fire or flood or anything like that. So being older, of course, there's more value in them as far as money is concerned. There is sentimental as well, okay? Now, it's hard to quantify sentimental value, but there is somewhat of a way to insure against that. So first things foremost, what I would suggest is, wherever you live, whether you live in an apartment or you own a house, and especially if you own a house, but regardless of whether you're renting or own a place, you should always have house insurance, content insurance, okay? And they should have, of course, fire and flooding, that kind of thing. Now that'll depend on your insurance provider, of course, and the premium that you're gonna have to pay for that. But I would highly suggest that these things, you have to kind of weigh the cost of insurance versus what do you have in your collection. Now, if you've just started, and you don't have a lot yet, maybe you have several $100s, that kind of thing, it's good to start getting yourself organized and hopefully get things sorted out, so that you don't, when your collection gets bigger to the point that it's easier to manage and keep a hold of. Okay, so but if you're a seasoned collector, and you have several boxes or up to several thousand books at a time, Yeah, this might be a little bit tougher if you haven't already inventoried your books, and they can get a little bit out of hand. It can take some time, but this would be a good way to revisit your collection, right? And maybe see some of the stuff that you haven't seen in a while because they've been put away and stacked away, maybe in an attic somewhere, or hidden in a closet, that kind of stuff. So it'd be nice to kind of go through them and maybe revisit them and see them again, right? Because they aren't just made for storing away, they're made for enjoying too, right? So you should definitely, at least it's one way to do that. So so first off, you should have content insurance for your house, so that in case something happens, since you get burglarized, a fire, that kind of stuff, you have a way to deal with the insurance company, so that you can recoup uh, part or all of your losses, as far as your comic book collection, or whether you even have comic books, statues such as um, what you see here. And then not just of course, you also have your things like your clothes and your valuables, that kind of stuff. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just talking mainly about comic books and some collectibles in this. Okay, so the first thing I've done is I've taken inventory of my books. Now you can do this any way you want. Um, the easiest way, I guess, is just to write it down on a piece of paper, or if you have a computer, you can itemize things on a spreadsheet of some sort. It is a bit cumbersome, and it takes a lot longer to do so, because you have to actually visit every one of your books, and then you have to itemize each one, count how many you have of each issue, that kind of stuff, the value you have to search, and all of these things. And if you've got the time to do so, that's not a bad way to do it. That is one way. Keeping it on a spreadsheet definitely will help, because it's easier to make changes and update on a computer rather than writing it on a piece of paper. But if you're old school, and if you're willing to do that, hey, there's really no wrong way, right? Is what I'm saying. For myself, I'm just going to show you. This is, as you can see in the background, this is CL, what you say in Canada, Z, or for you US folks, it's CLZ Comics. This is an app that I use. I'm not promoting them by any chance. I don't get paid for this, just so you guys know. But this is what I use. What it is it's an app that I use on my phone. And on my iPad, and what it does is it allows me to enter in what I do have, and every time I get a new book in, it's just a matter of scanning it or entering it into the thing, and it's really quick and it's really easy. I can put the number of books that I have in there, of that same issue, and it has information on that book, and it has also a place for me to add notes and value, that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what I do, and I'm able to keep up my collection, make changes as I sell it and buy more comics throughout, through time. Definitely that's what I do, and then of course it's easier to manage your collection this way, right? For me, anyways. But that doesn't mean I know there's other programs, that kind of stuff. What I like about this is the fact that it's not a paid subscription, not an ongoing paid subscription. You can see it's a one-time thing here. Let's see if I can just make that a little bit bigger without having to move the camera around. Anyways, it says here, it's a one-time 18.95 Canadian. So if you're in the US, definitely it'll be US dollars. And then you just pay one time, and then that's it. And then you have different platforms to share it against. Like I said, I have it both on my iPhone and my iPad, and they share across each other. So when I update one, it updates the other, and then it also lives on the cloud. So when I get a new phone, it also I don't lose any of the information. I get it back on my phone. So that's what I use to keep track of everything. Okay, but that's only one way to do it, and that's just allows you to keep the inventory of what you currently have. when it comes to insuring, you need to actually prove that you actually have these books, right? Just writing them down saying I have them doesn't mean you actually do. Because let's say, for instance, you get burglarized, they take it, well, you have no proof that you actually have it. So how do you do that? Well, for me, okay, and this is what I've done, is I make a video record of what I currently have. So what I would do is start with the time, okay. You go, let's say you go online here and you punch in, let's say for me it's Pacific time, okay, Pacific Standard Time, and then like that one shows the current time, but I like to have the exact time. Oh, no, sorry, not this one. This one here, exact time now. And what that does is, as you can see, it gives you time, and it's actually the time, date, and it even counts up to second. So while this is running, you can show. What I do is I break it up into let's say because it's hard to do it all in one shot. Let's say especially if you have a huge collection, some of the collectors out there, which I envy, is like they have thousands upon thousands of books, in long boxes after long boxes. You can go over each one if you want, but the way I do it is I have, I don't have that much, but I have enough that I don't want to take up hours of video to do this. So what I've done is I break it up into different segments. Let's say, for instance, slabs. Okay, I only have, I don't have a lot of slabs, but I have enough. So what I'll do is I'll pick out, if you don't have that many, great, you can do them all. But if you have a ton, then what I would do is just get out some of the more valuable ones. Let's say, for instance, here we'll start showing. So we'll go, let's say this is my Silver Surfer number 1. Okay, now what I would do is, starting with this one, Silver Surfer number 1, it's a CGC graded 5.5. Now I would do a little bit of research before you start shooting your video, because some of the things you might want to have on your on the video as you're saying each one, as you're going through each one, is or you can write it down on a piece of paper, things like the title number, right? Of course you can see that there, title number, Silver Surfer, the issue number, the grade, the date, which is significant, which is, because sometimes it's you can have two of the same book and they might be a reprint, that kind of stuff. So this is 1968, and then of course you can do a significance. This is first issue and its own title, and you can say the value of this too, or you can write down and put it somewhere in the front that actually shows the approximate value of this book. Okay, so that's one way to do it, and then that way it has a record, and of course, right, with the time in the background, that way you have a record of when you actually have this book on hand. Right, that's one way. Now you go through that, let's say with all your slabs that you do, or at least the majority of your slabs that has value, because let's face it, not everybody collects the same type. So let's say you have more valuable books, and then you have you have ones that you slab just to preserve it because you like the art, and it's not valued as much, right? The monetary value as much. Well, that way you don't have to do them all, just do the ones that are most important to you, and then of course, yeah, that'll allow you to shoot a shorter video, and then you can always add on to that video later on, right? Okay, so you can also do that with so let's say you do this, and then I'd have it already. Let's say I have also an X-Men number 94, and this is an CGC 8.5 This is in 1975, and the significance of this book is this is the first all new X-Men in their own title, second appearance of these characters and so forth. Value of this book approximately $500. Let's say just I don't have, that's I don't know if that's right or not. Okay, don't quote me on that, but that's what I would say. Approximate value $500. So that then you go do that, right? So and then you go through with your slabs, and then what I would do at the end is I would also now, let's say you have 100 slabs. You can now say you've shown the most valuable, but then you also can show, let's say you can take your camera and then you can show your the slabs all in a row and say I have 100 graded books, CGC, PGX, CBCS, whichever, and then you can say the approximate value of the whole thing, right, of your slab. The approximate value as of X amount of date, which is set in the background, approximate value based on the list that you have accompanying, because remember you have the list, right? So you'll have all these slabs along with the list, and then some of the values of course the comics. Then you have an actual total value which you can present later on if something does happen. Okay, now if you, like I said, if you want to go ahead and film every book, there's nothing that's stopping you from doing that. That's more accurate. They're not gonna because what happens is it's not that somebody's gonna go, oh, I'm looking at every single book. What you can do is you have evidence to support your argument when it comes to filing for a claim against the insurance company, right? And usually all you'll need is a list. But if they were to question, because of course a comic book, why is a comic book worth $500, right? They're only $3.99. I can buy one for $3.99. Why is that $500? Well, then you can show it, and then you can also go on things like eBay for current value, right? Remember, approximate value. So unless of course the market crashes, which again, knock on wood, right? That doesn't happen. This will give you at least a fighting chance to prove what your collection is worth, and that you are not just trying to take the insurance company as a sucker and trying to get away with stealing money from them, right? Let's say, for instance. So that kind of thing, right? So that gives you a fighting chance to do so. Now, what happens? The other thing too is if you have special books, such as, let's say, this is my Iron Fist number 14. Okay. Again, CGC signature series 5.5. Of course, 1977. This was signed by Stan Lee. Okay, if you have a lot, like I know a lot of you pay for that. Now there's a value for this based on the issue as well with the signature. Okay, now you can add up the value, that kind of stuff, but then you have to watch as well, because for instance, what about something that's worth a lot to me, that if I lost it, I'd be very sad. Well, unfortunately, it's hard to quantify sentimental value. Okay, but what you can do is you can negate that and maybe get something back. Let's say, for instance, I have this book, and I've shown this off before. This is Back to the Future number 1. It's not a signature series. I'm just using an old slab that didn't get wrecked when I opened the book. I'm just using it to protect it. So, and then this is signed by Christopher Lloyd, as you can see down there. Okay, now based on that, what I would hope to get out of this is basically the book isn't worth more than the title of $3.99, but what's worth to me, and it actually has value, is a signature. Okay, now if he passes away, the signature is worth more. So I can say right now, since he's still alive, I can say what I paid to get his signature, let's say, was $100. Okay, so the value of this book would be about $110, that kind of stuff, right? That approximate value. Now, if for whatever instance, if he passed away, let's say you had a Steve Ditko, right? You had it signed, and all of a sudden he died like this year. Well, the value of his signature just went up. Okay, so it has a quantifiable value, even though the book itself is more sentimental value. There is a value based on the fact that you paid for a signature, right? Okay, so now if you got the signature free, you're gonna have to do a little bit of research to figure out whether that signature, let's say, of Alex Ross, has much more value than, let's say, somebody else's, that kind of thing. So you'll have to do your own research for that, and then that way give some sort of value and assign a value, not just sentimental value, because even though this book means a lot to me based on my father, that kind of stuff, the insurance company isn't going to give you any money for that, right? So that kind of thing. So just watch that. And now it's easy to do that with slabs, especially if they're graded, right? If they're graded, so it's easier because you can go on things like GPA, that kind of stuff, and it has a grade already. Now what happens is you would also need to do this for your raw books as well. And let's face it, we have a lot more raw books. If you're like me, and like most people, you have more raw books than you have graded books. I would do the exact same thing. Maybe make a new video, right? Maybe take your time to make a new video. Let's say you wanna. This is another. Again, this is just in a old plastic slab. It doesn't have any grade on it. I'm just using the plastic. Why throw it away? But and it's the Amazing Spider-Man 129, and you can say this. Again, the publication date of this book, right, based on what you have on the list, and you can actually say the approximate value of this book based on, give it a grade, give it a now that's going to be subjective based on what you think it is, but let's be real. If I say that this is going to be a 9.8, oh, this is a 9.8 value, based on that, it's going to be $12,000, right? If for whatever reason they catch you at a lie, you aren't going to get anything. Right? Don't get greedy is what my suggestion, right? You can be a little bit on the high side. Let's say, for instance, I believe that this is a 6.0. Well, maybe I can stretch it to a 6.5. Maybe give a range of 5.5 to 6.5, or 6.0 to 7.0. Because, and based on that value, you can do that. Because what happens is, if you have an insurance company, and let's say an adjuster happens to know what he's doing, right, and takes just a couple of your examples and actually does a little bit of research on it, and finds out that this isn't a 9.8 value, 9.8, right? Because he might ask you to prove, or to have a receipt. Now you can go in your eBay account and say, hey, listen, this is what I paid for it, and it says this is a 3.0. Now they're gonna dig a lot closer, and then of course they could even throw out your case. So you don't want to do that, right? Let's be honest. And for the most part, that will pay you back in spades, because at the end of the day, you'll be able to recoup at least, if not all, most of your investment back, and that's the most important part, right? So that kind of thing, you can even, we'll just and as you go along, you can show your most favorite books, the most valuable books. Let's say Fantastic Four number 48. This one's gaining value. I wanted to show this one because this book has taken off quite a bit in the last few months, based on the news of Disney buying out Fox, which it's almost there. It's actually they've had a late breaking news as of today. The shareholders have voted yes, but they also have to approve some of the different countries, I believe. So we're almost there. We're at the 11th hour on this, so we're really close. for Disney buying Fox. But with that news, of course, right? Fantastic Four going to be going to Disney. Well, Silver Surfer is the one of the biggest characters that's going to come out of that deal, and of course, his first appearance has shot up like double or more. Okay, so if you did a video such as this earlier, okay, with this on it, you can what I would do is I would make an updated video based on, you know, some of the books that are key books that are that have gone up in value, and you can prove that based on the time and that kind of stuff, and then approximate value of that book, and then of course you can update your collection value. Okay, so case in point, that's one, right? And of course the other one that just keeps up going up in value, this is, you know, My Hulk 181, of course, first appearance of Wolverine. Anytime I can show this book, that's just me, love this book. Okay, so also that brings me up to the point of update. So once you've done the whole thing, it's great and all, you've shown, you know, your most valuable books, you've kind of lined up all your long boxes and shot a video of showing what's inside, maybe pull out some books as you do that, and showing that, you know, that they are full of comics, not just boxes, and then of course you have your list accompanying the video, and then you have the update. Now, what happens when you buy more books and you sell more books, right? As you buy and sell, well, you need to keep an update, an inventory update. I usually typically do it when I acquire some books that are more valuable. Let's say, for instance, I just picked up this book recently within the last month, and then I picked up several others, maybe not, you know, maybe worth $60, $100, that kind of stuff, but this book is worth, you know, over $1,000. Let's say now it's time to make an updated video and update that list, right? So, and as now the original video still counts, you'll just now have, and now if you sold something that, let's say you sold the, you know, the FF48, now you have to, and this is, let's say this is worth $800, let's say, for instance, and then but you bought this one, now you can do the update, and then basically update your total based on that. And so you can do that. There's no right or wrong time to do it. You can do it based on the value of what you bought and sold in the last little while. You can do it once every 3 months, maybe. Do a video update, and then as you're going along, make sure you're updating your list. That's always a good thing. And then, of course, maybe once a year, like at year end, you can do a year end inventory of your collections. Just kind of visit it, right? You know, it's up to you how much time you want to put in. You know, you can put in as little as or a lot, right? That'll determine how accurate you are to your, you know, how accurate your list and your inventory will be. And you know, I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't do like day to day. If you're meticulous and if you're very anal that way, that's up to you. And you know, there is no wrong way to do this. You just need to make sure you have a record. Okay, having something is better than having nothing, because at the end of the day, if you have nothing and something happens, you will get nothing. Okay, that's the hardest part, and that's why hopefully, you know, some of you, you know, if you don't wish to do it, that's fine. It's your collection. You can do anything you want. But hopefully, for those of you who have been worried, you know, in the past, or have had something happen to somebody you know, and you're not quite sure how to go about doing it, this is one way. You can figure out your own way, of course, if it suits you a little bit better. But I'm just showing you some of the things that I've done. Also, make sure that your declaration values is up to date, and then you can also do an updated total on your list. Okay, now come kind of just nearing the end of this thing, let's say what would happen, where do what would, let's say you shoot the video, right? What I would do is export the video onto a stick, right? A key fob, one of the USB sticks. Okay, so if you have, I think 2 GB ones are really cheap now, up to 8 GB. It's like you can have memory cards, something to store your video in, and maybe have your list as well along with it. Let's say you have an Excel sheet, you can save that on the same disk, and you have that accompanying thing. You can, and then every time you want to update it, you can just load it up on your computer and then update it, right? And add or minus videos as you go along. You can put the time, and you can put the time on it. It'll give you timestamps, that kind of stuff. If you want to put it in your safety deposit box, have at it. That's a great way. That way, at least it's protected. Do not, and I stress this, do not keep it with your collection, please. Because if there's a fire, if there's a flood, guess what? You've not only ruined the comics, you've also ruined the evidence of what you have in the comics. So please do not do that. Put it in a safer place, whether you have it in a safety deposit box or you can keep it at your mom's house, right? Because let's face it, if there was something that happens at your mom's place, maybe that's farther away, you can, it doesn't happen at your place, right? Let's say they get burglarized, maybe your list goes away. Well, you can make a new list, or you have a backup list at home, right? So maybe have 2, but that's up to you how many you want to do. But I would suggest keep it on something portable that doesn't stay with you in your own home, or at least you have a copy somewhere else, a good friend of yours, that kind of stuff. Because there's not gonna, the list itself isn't worth much. The stick is only worth whatever you paid for the USB stick. The content, as long as you don't put anything, you don't put any personal information in there, like your social security number, or that kind of stuff, don't do that, right? Unless you have that in there, unless you just have your comic book collection in there and the time and what you paid for them. Really, if somebody decided and broke in and stole that they're just going to get information, that kind of information anyways, and that's not worth much of anything to anybody, right, except for you. And you can always remake the video, right? Or you can take the video that you have, let's say at home, or you're in your safety deposit box, and make another copy of it to keep in another safe place. Okay, so again, this is one way to help protect you and your precious comic book collection. Again, the idea is to have a record, itemized list, and then of course update that list and then keep it in a safe place. That's the rundown. Okay, and then hopefully, again, keep knocking on those wood. Nothing ever happens, because let's face it, if nothing happens, great. If something happens, you're protected. Okay, and you've got a little bit of effort goes a long way at this point. Because even though we hate to have anything happen to, and I hate for anything to happen to anybody, that's why I'm kind of doing this video, to help you guys protect yourself, find a way to protect yourself. Either you do it this way or you find your own way. That's awesome. Maybe you can tell me about it as well. But yeah, hopefully this helps out some people out there, because this is we have a close knit community. I watch a lot of guys' video. People message me and that kind of stuff, and I know that everybody has a lot of people have great heart, has a good heart, and they like seeing my collection. I love seeing other people's collection, and we want no harm to come to anybody's collection, because it takes away from let's say if this was ruined in a flood, that's one more book, one more Hulk 181 that's not going to be in circulation, that maybe someday if I ever decide to sell it, that could be something that you would pick up in the future. You never know, right? Anyways, that's what I have for you. Hopefully this helps you out in any way. At least some of you, maybe even one person helps out one person, then I've done my job, and I'm happy to be able to do that. So again, thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate everybody out there, and as a token of my appreciation, I want to also give a shout out to my latest subscribers. Anybody that has subscribed to me in the past, I'd like to give shout outs and show some names of people's names have gone beforehand. And if you also want to shout out on future videos, hey, I'd love to be able to do that for you. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel, and then and that's it. Nothing fancy, nothing difficult. Okay. And of course, if you like this message that I'm sending out, this public service, then hit that like button. Tells me I'm doing something good, and I'll see what else I can come up with as far as new ideas. And of course, if you subscribe to my channel, you want to see more videos, make sure you ring that notification bell. That'll keep you updated of my future videos, and so you won't miss out on your shout out. And of course, always leave your comment down below. All right, tell me what you think, tell me what you like. Maybe you have a different idea on how to insure and protect your precious comic book collection. If you do, please share with us. I'd love to hear it. Maybe if somebody can come up with an easier, better, faster, new way, whether it's a new technology, that kind of stuff, I'd love to do it. I myself, I'm open, always open-minded as far as a better way to do it. This is just one way. I'm not saying this is the best way. This is just my way for now. And if somebody happens to come across a different one, then great. I'd love it. So tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you think. Maybe you want to try it out. And if you have, tell me your experience in doing so. Leave me a comment. Let me know. And yeah, get the discussion going. So again, thank you very much for all this, for watching all of this. And so this is Comic Sniper, along with my trusty sidekick, Mark III. Signing off for now. Hopefully, again, knock on wood, nothing ever happens, but if they do, and you're able to settle things out with the insurance man, make sure when you're out to get your new collection, make sure you enjoy the hunt. All right, bye bye for now.